Detective Rebecca Collins stared at her computer screen in the dim light of her office. The soft blue glow lit up her tired face as she scrolled through the old case files. It was another late night at the Los Angeles Police Department, year 2247, and something wasn't adding up. "Computer, display the Black Dahlia case file again," she said, running her fingers through her short brown hair. The holographic display flickered to life, showing photos and documents from 1947. She had looked at this case 100 times before, but tonight was different. Rebecca leaned forward, her green eyes narrowing at the screen. The autopsy report for Elizabeth Short had changed. She knew every detail of this historic case by heart, and these new details weren't there yesterday. The report now showed something impossible: traces of nanotechnology in the victim's blood. "This can't be right," she muttered, tapping her coffee mug with her fingernails. Nanotech wasn't invented until 2167. How could it be in a body from 1947? She pressed her hand against the DNA scanner on her desk. Authorization: Collins, Rebecca A. Access, Historical Database Modification Log. The computer beeped in response. "No modifications detected in the past 30 days, the computer replied in its calm voice. Rebecca stood up and paced her office. The city lights of future Los Angeles sparkled through her window, flying cars streaming past in neat lines between the towering buildings. She had joined the Historical Crimes Division because she loved solving old mysteries, but this was beyond strange. She walked to the evidence printer in the corner of her office. "Print physical copy of new autopsy report," she ordered. The machine hummed to life, creating an exact replica of the 1947 document. She needed to see this on real paper. As she picked up the warm sheet, something fell from between the pages. A small silver disc, no bigger than her thumbnail, clattered to the floor. Rebecca's heart jumped. This wasn't part of the original evidence. She knelt down to pick it up, and as her fingers touched the metal, it projected a tiny hologram. A woman's face appeared in the light. She was beautiful, with dark hair and a sad smile. Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia herself. But this wasn't like any photo from 1947. The image was moving, and Elizabeth was wearing clothes that looked more like 2247 fashion than 1940 style. "If you're seeing this, something has gone wrong," the hologram said. "My name is Catherine Hayes, and Elizabeth Short wasn't just murdered. She was assassinated. But not in 1947. I am Elizabeth Short, and I'm from your time." Rebecca dropped into her chair, her hands shaking. She had studied this case for years, dreamed of solving Los Angeles's most famous murder. But this was impossible. Time travel was still experimental, used only by the military and top government agencies. The hologram continued. "Detective Collins, I chose you for a reason. Check my DNA profile against yours. You'll understand then. But be careful who you tell about this. They're watching. They've always been watching." The hologram flickered out. Rebecca sat in stunned silence, her coffee forgotten. Outside her window, an advertisement blimp floated past, casting red and blue lights across her face. She looked at her reflection in the window, then back at the photo of Elizabeth Short. For the first time, she noticed they had the same eyes. "Computer," she said quietly, "run a DNA comparison. Elizabeth Short's profile against mine." She held her breath as the machine processed. The computer chimed. "Match found. Genetic relationship confirmed. Direct maternal line. Subject Elizabeth Short is your great-grandmother." The Federal Temporal Investigation Bureau's office sat on the 200th floor of the tallest building in Los Angeles. Rebecca Collins stood in the elevator, her heart pounding as she watched the floor numbers climb. She held her evidence bag tightly. Inside was the silver disc from Elizabeth Short's file. The elevator doors opened to reveal a man in a black suit waiting for her. "Detective Collins," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Agent Michael Thompson. We got your message about the Black Dahlia case." Rebecca shook his hand, noticing his strong grip and the small scar above his right eyebrow. "How much do you know about what I found?" she asked. Enough to know we need to talk somewhere private, Thompson replied. He led her down a hallway where the walls shifted colors like flowing water. They entered a room that looked ordinary, but Rebecca felt a strange tingling on her skin. Temporal shielding, Thompson explained, seeing her reaction. No one can listen in or record what happens in here, not from this time or any other. He sat down at a plain metal desk and gestured for her to take the other chair. Rebecca placed the evidence bag on the desk. My great-grandmother was murdered in 1947, but she was from our time. How is that possible? Thompson's face grew serious. Because she was one of ours. Agent Catherine Hayes was one of our best temporal agents. She was tracking a group called the Preservers when she disappeared. He touched a panel on his desk, and a hologram appeared showing Elizabeth Short in a FTIB uniform. The Preservers? Rebecca asked, leaning forward. They're extremists who think humanity is moving too fast with technology. They send agents through time to slow down progress. Thompson pulled up more images, strange crimes throughout history, each one targeting scientists or inventors. We've been fighting them for decades across centuries. Rebecca felt anger rising in her chest, and they killed her to stop her, by cutting her in half, and she couldn't finish the sentence. The brutality was deliberate, Thompson said quietly. They wanted to create a famous unsolved murder, something that would stay in the headlines, draw attention away from what they were really doing in 1947. The room's walls shifted to a deep red color, matching Rebecca's mood. What were they doing? Thompson pressed another button, and the hologram showed old newspapers. Headlines about strange lights in the sky, unexplained radio signals. They were preventing first contact. An alien ship approached Earth in 1947. The Preservers scared them away, convinced them we weren't ready. They thought they were protecting us. But they were wrong. Very wrong. That contact would have helped us prepare for what's coming. Thompson looked tired suddenly. There's another ship heading toward Earth right now, Detective Collins. Not friendly this time. We need the technology we would have gained from that first contact. Rebecca touched the silver disc through the evidence bag. That's why she left this for me to find. She knew someone would need to fix this. Thompson nodded. We want you to join the investigation. You have a personal stake in this, and you've already proven you can notice temporal changes others miss. He pulled out a silver badge, similar to her police badge, but with a strange symbol on it. Will you help us? Rebecca thought about Elizabeth Short, Catherine Hayes, her great-grandmother, murdered across time. She thought about the future that had been stolen from humanity. She took the badge. When do we start? The old hotel in 1947 Los Angeles looked exactly like the history books showed. Rebecca Collins adjusted her dress, still getting used to the heavy fabric women wore in this time. Next to her, Agent Thompson checked his pocket watch. Remember, he whispered, we can only stay for 2 hours. Any longer, and we risk changing too much. They had jumped back in time to the day before Elizabeth Short's murder. The time machine had left them in an alley behind the Biltmore Hotel, where Elizabeth was last seen alive. Rebecca's heart beat faster when she saw a woman in a black dress walk through the hotel lobby. It was her great-grandmother, Catherine Hayes, pretending to be Elizabeth Short. She looked just like the photos, but now Rebecca could see she carried herself like a trained agent. There, Thompson pointed at a man in a gray suit watching Catherine from behind a newspaper. That's William Anderson, the leader of the Preservers. We finally have proof he was here. Rebecca wanted to run over and warn Catherine, but she knew she couldn't. So we just watch her die? She asked, her voice shaking. We're not here to save her, Thompson said gently. We're here to learn what the Preservers were really doing. Look there. He nodded toward 3 more men entering the hotel. They carried briefcases that looked too modern for 1947. Rebecca and Thompson followed the men, keeping their distance. The group went down to the basement, using a key that made no sound in the lock. Through the basement window, Rebecca and Thompson saw something that changed everything. The basement was full of advanced computers, all hidden behind false walls. The preservers weren't just trying to stop first contact. They were changing all the military's files, erasing any record of strange signals from space. "They're not just killing time travelers," Thompson whispered. "They're erasing humanity's first hints of alien life, making sure we never look up at the stars with hope." Suddenly, Catherine Hayes appeared at the other basement window. She had followed them too. She took pictures with a tiny camera. But then something went wrong. A guard saw her. She ran. Rebecca started to move, but Thompson held her back. "We can't," he said, his face full of pain. "This is the moment. In 6 hours, they catch her. We can't stop it without destroying our whole timeline." They watched Catherine run into the dark street. Rebecca noticed she dropped something shiny, the silver disc that Rebecca would find in the future. She knew, Rebecca said, understanding now. She knew she was going to die, so she left the disc where the preservers wouldn't look, in her own autopsy file. She trusted that someone would find it. Thompson nodded. She also found something else. "Look." He pointed to a paper that had fallen from William Anderson's briefcase. On it was a list of dates, future assassination targets, scientists, inventors, anyone who would help humanity reach the stars. "They're not going to stop with her, are they?" Rebecca asked. "No, the Black Dahlia murder was just the beginning. They're planning something bigger, something that will change everything." Thompson checked his watch again. "Our time is almost up. We need to go back and warn the Bureau." As they prepared to return to 2247, Rebecca looked one last time at Catherine Hayes disappearing into the night. She made a silent promise to her great-grandmother. The preservers wouldn't win. Humanity would reach the stars, no matter what it took. Back in 2247, Rebecca sat in the FTIB lab, holding a small purple crystal in her hand. The lab technician, Linda Parker, had just finished extracting it from Elizabeth Short's old locket, a piece of evidence that had sat in police storage for 300 years. "It's a quantum data crystal," Linda explained, adjusting her glasses. "Your great-grandmother was clever. The preservers never thought to check her jewelry." Thompson paced behind them, his shoes clicking on the white floor. "Can you read what's on it?" Linda placed the crystal in a scanner. The room's lights dimmed, and a hologram filled the air around them. They saw strange ships in the sky, not just over Roswell in 1947, but over other places too. The images showed peaceful aliens trying to contact humans throughout history. The preservers didn't just stop one alien visit, Rebecca said, watching the images. They'd been scaring them away for centuries. More images appeared. They showed a different alien fleet, one with sharp, angular ships. "These are the hostile ones," Thompson said. "The ones heading toward Earth now." The hologram changed again, showing William Anderson in what looked like a future time. He stood in a destroyed city, recording a message. His clothes were burned, and his face was scared. "This is why we do what we do," Anderson's image said. "I've seen it. When humanity meets the aliens too soon, we trust them too much. We're not ready. The hostile ones come, and we can't fight back. I've watched Earth burn 1,000 times. Better to keep us isolated. Better to be safe." "He's seen the future?" Rebecca asked. Thompson shook his head. "One possible future. The preservers don't understand. By stopping those first peaceful contacts, they're making his nightmare more likely to happen." Linda pointed to more data appearing on her screen. "Catherine. Elizabeth." She found proof. "The peaceful aliens wanted to warn us about the hostile ones. They were going to help us prepare." Rebecca felt angry again. "So the preservers have been protecting us by leaving us defenseless." "Exactly," Thompson said. "And now we have less than 6 months before the hostile fleet arrives. Without the technology those first contacts would have given us, we're not ready." The crystal showed one last image, Catherine Hayes speaking directly to the camera. She looked tired but determined. To whoever finds this, the key is in the autopsy. My body holds the last piece of alien technology we managed to save. Use it. Show humanity the truth. And Rebecca, she smiled sadly. I knew you'd be the one to find this. I've seen you too, in other timelines. You always make the right choice. The hologram faded. Linda's computer beeped. There's more data about the preservers' bases. They have locations throughout time. Places where they store the technology they've stolen. Thompson looked at Rebecca. We could take it back, but it would be dangerous. The preservers have agents in every time period. Rebecca thought about Catherine's last message to her. She thought about the hostile fleet getting closer every day. She thought about all the peaceful contacts humanity had missed, all because of fear. When do we start? She asked, standing up. And which base do we hit first? Thompson smiled. That's what your great-grandmother would have said. He pulled up a map showing glowing dots throughout time. We have 6 months to rewrite 300 years of history. Let's get to work. The FTIB's emergency meeting room was packed with agents from different time periods. Rebecca watched them from her seat near the front. Some wore clothes from the 1950s, others from the 2100s. All of them looked worried. Director Jennifer Marshall stood at the front of the room. She was a tall woman with gray hair and a long scar on her neck. The hostile fleet will reach Earth in 5 months, she said. Thanks to Detective Collins and Agent Thompson, we now know why we're not ready for them. The room's walls showed images of the preservers' actions throughout history. Rebecca saw them destroying alien artifacts in Egypt, burning Leonardo da Vinci's secret notebooks, and sabotaging Tesla's later experiments. They've been stopping human progress for centuries, Marshall continued. But now we can fight back. We've located their bases in different time periods. We're going to take back what they stole. Thompson stood up next to Marshall. We've divided you into teams. Each team will attack a different base. We have to hit them all at the same time. Or at least, what counts as the same time when you're dealing with time travel? Rebecca looked at the folder in front of her. Inside were photos of the preservers' base in 1986. Her team's target was a secret bunker under a Los Angeles office building. They had hidden alien technology there after stealing it from a crashed ship. Remember, Marshall warned, the preservers have agents everywhere. Trust no one outside this room. They've already killed many of our agents. She looked at Rebecca. Agent Hayes wasn't their first victim, but we want her to be their last. After the meeting, Rebecca stayed behind with Thompson and Marshall. Director, she said, there's something I don't understand. Why didn't the preservers just kill me when I found the crystal? They must have known it was there. Marshall smiled sadly. Because you're protected, Rebecca. Catherine Hayes did more than leave you clues. She used the alien technology to create a temporal shield around her whole family line. The preservers can't touch you directly. That's why she had to die so horribly, Thompson added. They couldn't stop her any other way. The shield protected her from their weapons, but not from normal humans they tricked into helping them. Rebecca felt the weight of her great-grandmother's sacrifice even more now. What else can you tell me about her? Marshall pressed a button on her desk. A hidden door opened in the wall, revealing a small room full of old photos and equipment. This was her office. No one's used it since she died. We've kept it exactly as she left it. Rebecca walked into the room slowly. She saw photos of Catherine with other agents, medals for bravery, and strange devices she didn't recognize. On the desk was a letter addressed to her. She wrote that the day before she went to 1947, Marshall said quietly. She knew she might not come back. She wanted you to have it when you were ready. Rebecca picked up the letter with shaking hands. Inside was a key and a note with just 4 words. The fight isn't over. She looked at Thompson and Marshall. When do we attack the bases? Tomorrow, Marshall said. All times, all places, all at once. Are you ready? Rebecca put the key in her pocket and thought of Catherine Hayes, who died to give humanity a chance. I'm ready. Let's finish what she started. The 1986 Los Angeles office building looked normal from the outside. Rebecca checked her watch, a special model that worked across time periods. Her team had 10 minutes before the coordinated attack began. Everyone ready? She asked through her hidden radio. Thompson and 4 other agents were spread around the building. They all answered yes. Rebecca walked through the front door, dressed in 1986 office clothes. The key from Catherine's letter hung around her neck. Something told her she would need it soon. The lobby guard barely looked at her fake ID badge. The preservers were confident no one could find their bases. That was about to change. She took the elevator to the basement. The other agents would create a distraction upstairs in 5 minutes. She watched the floor numbers go down. 1, B1, B2, V3. The elevator wasn't supposed to go down this far. The doors opened to a long white hallway. 2 guards stood at the far end. Before they could react, Rebecca threw a small silver ball. It released a gas that put them to sleep instantly, technology borrowed from the future. "I'm in," she whispered into her radio. Above her, she heard the distraction begin. Alarms started ringing. She ran down the hallway, following the map she had memorized. Left, right, right again. Then she saw it. A big metal door with strange symbols. This was where they kept the stolen alien technology. Rebecca reached for the key around her neck, but suddenly a voice stopped her. "I knew you would come." She turned around. William Anderson stood there, looking exactly like he did in 1947. He hadn't aged at all. "How?" she asked, keeping her hand near her weapon. "Time travel has its benefits," he said. "I can live the same years over and over. I've spent lifetimes trying to save humanity." He pulled out an old photo. It showed a destroyed city. "This is what I'm preventing. I've seen it happen 100 times. "You're wrong," Rebecca said. "By stopping those first peaceful contacts, you're making that future more likely. The hostile aliens are coming, and thanks to you, we're not ready." "You sound just like her," Anderson said sadly. Catherine was wrong too. She didn't understand that sometimes you have to sacrifice a few to save everyone. Rebecca felt anger rise in her chest. "You killed my great-grandmother. You've been killing people throughout history. And for what? To keep humanity weak and afraid. To keep humanity safe." Anderson shouted. "Every time we meet aliens too soon, it ends in disaster. I've watched Earth burn. I've seen everything destroyed." "You've seen one possible future," Rebecca said. "But you've been so busy preventing it that you've created something worse." Suddenly, Thompson's voice came through her radio. "Rebecca, we've got problems. Preserver's agents are appearing from different time periods. They're surrounding the building." Anderson smiled. "My backup has arrived. Did you think we wouldn't be ready? We've had decades to prepare for this day." Rebecca looked at the key in her hand, then at the door behind her. The alien technology that could save humanity was just on the other side. "Last chance," Anderson said. "Walk away. Let us protect humanity our way." Rebecca thought of Catherine Hayes, of her sacrifice, of the future that could be. She gripped the key tightly. "No," she said. "Humanity doesn't need your protection. We need the truth." She turned toward the door as the sound of fighting echoed from above. Rebecca put the key in the door just as the sounds of fighting grew louder above. The lock clicked, and a bright blue light poured out from inside. The room was full of alien technology, machines that glowed and hummed with strange energy. "You don't understand what you're doing," Anderson said behind her. He held up a weapon that looked like it came from the future. "Step away from the door." "No," Rebecca said firmly. "You're the one who doesn't understand." She pressed the button on her radio. "Director Marshall, now." Suddenly, the air filled with a high-pitched sound. Anderson's weapon stopped working. All around the building, time travel devices shut down. The Preserver's agents were trapped in 1986. Temporal lockdown. Rebecca explained, smiling at Anderson's shocked face. Catherine's last gift to us. She found a way to freeze time travel in a specific area. Your reinforcements can't help you anymore. Thompson's voice came through the radio again. We've secured the building. All preserver agents are contained. Rebecca walked into the room of alien technology. On a table in the center sat a small silver sphere, the device Catherine had died trying to protect. According to her notes, it contained proof that the peaceful aliens had tried to warn humanity about the hostile fleet. It's over, Anderson, she said. We're taking back what you stole. But Anderson laughed. You still don't see it. Look at the sphere more closely. Rebecca picked up the sphere. As soon as she touched it, images filled her mind. She saw the future Anderson had seen. Earth burning, cities destroyed. But then she saw something else, something Anderson had missed. In his version, humanity faced the hostile aliens alone. But in another timeline, the one that was supposed to happen, Earth had allies. The peaceful aliens had given humanity the technology and knowledge to defend itself. You saw what you wanted to see, Rebecca said softly. You saw destruction because you never looked past it. But there was hope too. She held up the sphere. It projected the images for everyone to see. The peaceful aliens had left a message. They would return when humanity was ready. They had hidden their technology throughout human history, waiting for the right moment. The Black Dahlia murder, Rebecca realized. You made it famous on purpose. You wanted everyone looking at the mystery, not at what was really happening. Everything I did was to protect Earth, Anderson said, but his voice was uncertain now. And you succeeded, Rebecca said, just not the way you thought. Catherine knew the murder would stay unsolved for centuries. She knew it would lead me here, to this moment. She touched the sphere again. To the truth. The sphere began to glow brighter. All the alien devices in the room activated at once, connecting to each other. A message appeared in the air. Signal sent. They are coming. What did you do? Anderson asked, afraid. Catherine's final mission, Rebecca said. She hid away to contact our allies. The peaceful aliens will arrive before the hostile fleet. We'll be ready this time. Thompson and Director Marshall entered the room. Marshall looked at the glowing machines with tears in her eyes. Catherine would be proud, she said to Rebecca. Rebecca thought of her great-grandmother, of the sacrifice she made to give humanity this chance. The famous unsolved murder that had haunted Los Angeles for centuries had finally served its true purpose. The Black Dahlia case will always be officially unsolved, Marshall said. But we know the truth. Catherine Hayes died protecting humanity's future. And now, thanks to her, we'll have one. Above them, in the night sky, a new star began to shine. A ship of their allies, coming to help Earth face its greatest challenge. The observation deck of the FTIB building offered the best view of Los Angeles in 2247. Rebecca stood at the window, watching the peaceful alien ships hover over the city. Their vessels looked like giant silver leaves floating in the sky, beautiful and strange. Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? Thompson asked, joining her at the window. He handed her a cup of coffee. Real coffee, not the synthetic kind everyone else drank in this time. Everything's changed so much in just 3 months, Rebecca said. Below them, people walked the streets alongside alien visitors. The peaceful aliens had kept their promise. They came to help Earth prepare for the hostile fleet that was still coming. Director Marshall called them into her office. The room had changed since their victory over the preservers. Now it had both human and alien technology working together. A hologram of the solar system floated above her desk, showing the positions of Earth's new defense satellites. A hostile fleet will be here in 2 months, Marshall said. But thanks to our allies, we're ready for them. She smiled at Rebecca. Catherine would have loved to see this. Rebecca touched the silver key she still wore around her neck. What about Anderson and the preservers? Most of them are in temporal custody, Thompson explained. But Anderson surprised us. Once he saw he was wrong, he started helping. He's working with our allies now, using his knowledge of different timelines to help plan Earth's defense. Marshall pressed a button on her desk, and a new hologram appeared. It showed Elizabeth Short, Catherine Hayes, on the day she joined the HFY. She looked young and hopeful. "We found this in the old records," Marshall said. "Your great-grandmother's first day as an agent. She said something interesting in her interview." She played the recording. "I joined because I believe in humanity's future." Catherine's voice filled the room. "Sometimes the hardest choice is letting people face their challenges instead of trying to protect them from everything. We have to trust that humanity is strong enough to face what's coming." Rebecca felt tears in her eyes. She knew. Even then, she knew what she would have to do. "She changed history by becoming part of it," Thompson said. "The Black Dahlia case stayed unsolved, just like she planned. But it led us exactly where we needed to go." A young agent knocked on the door. "Director, the alien ambassadors are ready for the defense meeting." As they walked to the meeting room, Rebecca looked out another window. The city had changed. New buildings with alien architecture rose between the old ones. Flying cars shared the sky with alien transport pods. It wasn't the future Anderson had feared. It was something better. In the distance, she could see the old Los Angeles Police Department building where this had all started. The Black Dahlia files were still there, still officially unsolved. To the public, Elizabeth Short would always be a mystery, but Rebecca knew the truth. "Ready?" Thompson asked, holding the door to the meeting room. Rebecca nodded. Inside, human and alien leaders waited to discuss Earth's defense plans. Humanity's future was no longer something to fear. Thanks to Catherine Hayes, they could face it together. "The case may be unsolved," Rebecca said quietly, "but the mystery led us home." Above them, the alien ships glittered in the sunlight, a reminder that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.